Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I feel compelled to make a few comments. I'd like to thank the committee for the report. I'd also like to thank the board for their work. Of course, this is a report dating back to 2017. Since then, the board has changed, and quite a few number of changes have actually taken place within the organization too. And as rightly observed by members from the other side also, that the Fiji Public Trustee Corporation does play a very important role. It has assisted a number of families and individuals, in particular when people die, as the Honourable Kepa has highlighted, interstate, where they die without making a will. And it's critically important for people to make a will. I think a lot of people, Honourable Kepa, don't end up writing a will because they think they won't necessarily die very soon. But as we know, that death is inevitable, and we need to be prepared for it at all times. I think the issue pertaining to the various recommendations, and if we look at the recommendations by the committee, a lot of it is to do with public awareness and also services to be launched, and new modes and mediums of reaching out to members of the public. I think that's critically important. Now, as people get a lot more savvy with technology, the ability for Fiji Public Trustee Corporation to provide online services, withdrawal applications, all of that is currently being worked on by the current board and the current management. The CEO has been there for quite some time, and he's very much attuned in respect of providing services. The Honourable Gioni Maravi had raised the issue about fees for low-income families. The Fiji Public Trustee Corporation exempts fees, actually, for low-income earners following an assessment. This is classed as a non-commercial obligation with a budget of $50,000. In respect of also High Court, the money does actually get put in bank accounts, so it does earn interest. And that's how they actually, of course, gain, some form of revenue on the funds. Honourable Kepa, you may not have been aware of this, but we actually amended the Family Law Act, where de facto relationships are also now recognized in law, in particular for property settlements. We understand that at the time when the original Family Law Act was drafted, certain politicians were very averse to the idea, as you would know, Honourable Kepa, in Parliament then, I think, very averse to the idea of recognizing de facto relationships because they would have been negatively affected too at that point in time. So we've since then amended the Family Law Act where it does recognize de facto relationships. One of the points that Honourable Gioni Maravi had made, very, again, on rare occasions I do actually agree with her, is the issue of dilapidated buildings. You will find in some places in Suva and other parts and townships in Fiji where a number of the properties are actually neglected. There's some of them down here, I remember one in Berry Road, very well-known property, where you had a lot of siblings who actually were the beneficiaries of these properties. Some were overseas, some were here, or even when family members live here, that the beneficiaries don't agree as to what to do with the property, and the building actually deteriorates and it becomes an eyesore. Some countries, and we've actually been considering this, we need to of course have a lot more public consultations. We've looked at some other jurisdictions. What other countries have done is, after a period of time where they give you a time reprieve, if you like, if the estate cannot get around to making a decision and the property is within the municipality, or where it's become a public nuisance issue, then the state can actually step in, sell the property, and keep the money in trust for those people who are the beneficiaries of that particular estate, and then they can sort it out amongst themselves. But it gives the state the power to be able to liquidate those assets, keep the liquid assets then subsequently for the beneficiary of the state, but at least that particular property moves along and gets developed. That's how a lot of countries have actually dealt with this situation. The other issue that I also wanted to highlight just very quickly is the wills are also written by legal aid. Legal aid now provides a lot of services in respect to writing of wills. They also provide probate assistance to low-income families. So I note that in recommendation 4, the committee said that cooperation about competition. So the competition obviously is not just coming from the lawyers in terms of drafting of wills. The competition actually also comes from, if you want to call it competition, from Legal Aid Commission. So a lot of the work that Legal Aid does now, Mr. Speaker, sir, and in fact the budget of Legal Aid now, of course, exceeds in excess of $5 million a year, and they're the largest law firm now. So they do a lot of civil work, which includes probates, settlement properties, and also the writing up of wills. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to thank the committee for the report and support the motion by the chair. Thank you.
I now give the floor to the chairperson for his right of reply. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you.